Welcome back to another episode of the M3 podcast. It's your host, Brianna Danielle. Today's guest is someone who's built a powerful presence in the wellness space by redefining what detox really means. Courtney Smith, also known as the Detox Queen, or the Queen of Detox, I should say, is a holistic health advocate, detox lifestyle educator, and a transformational voice helping people cleanse not just their bodies, but their habits, mindset, and environment. Through her platform, Courtney shares practical detox strategies, empowering insights, and a grounded approach to vibrant living that goes far beyond quick fixes and trendy cleanses. Her work focuses on sustainable health, intentional living, and helping people reconnect with their bodies in a deeper way. In this episode, we're going to dive into her personal journey, her philosophy on detoxing in today's world, and what it truly takes to create lasting transformation from the inside out. So, Courtney, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And man, you hit that like right on the like nail on the head with that. I was like, she did her research. She did her research. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
I am excited to talk about detoxing today because there's so many different definitions behind it. And I know that you, like I said, the queen of detox right here. I want to know what your philosophy feels like when it comes to your background and being very rooted in lifestyle and transformation, not just like for short term cleanses, but making it a true lifestyle change. So I want to know about your own health journey and how it's shaped the way you approach detoxing today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always so crazy. I feel like anybody who really does this line of work, like in the holistic space, even like think sometimes like getting into like the fitness space, it's like you kind of stumble into it. So even with my own journey, it's like, oh my God, if you would have asked me like when I first started entering the health space, if I would have been here, or when I first started like having my own business, like I was just a fitness coach. I really stumbled into this line of work and like really being able to redefine what detox actually means is like that's taken me a long time to actually build, because I used to be the one that'd be like looking for like the perfect supplement or just relying on like a parasite cleanse or getting into like what is it, like juice cleanse or just fasting or anything like that, because all of those things are so, I guess, in a sense, like trending, like trying all the quick fixes. So for me, like really learning and redefining what detox actually means, like it goes so much deeper than people would ever even imagine. Like for me, it's mental, it's emotional, it's physical and spiritual, and all of those things is going to make us as a whole well-being. And when we think of our health and like who we are, we're all made up of like trillions and trillions of cells. And what happens along the way in our bodies is like when there's an accumulation of toxins, stressors, trauma on the body, that all gets stored inside of our body. So now it's our job to actually come pump this out of our body and get it and like bring our bodies back to a state of like equilibrium, which is balance and harmony. So for me, it's like when I think about my own journey and like all the steps that I had to go through, I always like I say this thing sometimes, I'm like, man, I wish I had myself like where I am right now when I first got sick, because I would have gone healthy so much faster. But I really had to go through all like that trial and error to like build the systems and build the health that I am fully in today. And with mine, I feel like my journey really started when I was a kid, but I didn't know it back then. But it really, I think the catalyst for me was when I was a bodybuilder, for sure, because my body at that time, there was already things happening inside of it. From I was a drug addict at 16. Like, when you think about all like I would smoke, I would drink, I would do drugs. I'm like, I just think about it, like my poor body, like all the toxins that were like filled inside of it. And the stressors of life, right? And then getting into bodybuilding, as you know, is like, it's just so harsh on the body, especially as a woman. Like after that, my body just kind of had enough. Like it was kind of like shutting down. And that's really what stumbled me into along the lines of what I do. I didn't have a solid bowel movement for 2 years. And when I tell you it was shitty, it was literally shitty. Like, when there's, I have this hook on my Instagram right now, and it's called like, if you can't stop pissing out of your asshole. And yes, it's very vulgar, but it holds such a dear, close part to my heart, because that was the life I lived for so long. And I'm like, this isn't normal, but nobody could tell me why. And I truthfully believe that like I know a lot of people get into the holistic realm because the Western side of things really hasn't been a help for them. And like that was truthfully happening to me. And I just remember going to like doctors, specialists, naturopaths, and trying all these different things just to like feel somewhat human again after all of this. And nobody could figure out why. And like they're just like, you're fine because like your labs are fine. And I was like, this is not fine. I was like, I am not fine. I was like, I did not like, which is so crazy because when I think back to like how I used to like live as a bodybuilder, it was like 2 protein shakes a day, like energy drink, pre-workout, all the artificial sweeteners, like 0 calorie, absolutely everything. Like everything was low calorie, everything was high protein. And I'm like, when I think back to that, I was like, what I like the way I ate before, like I do not eat like that now. And I'm like, why like but I didn't feel like shit back then. And I was like, what
Mhm.
really happened along the way? And it's just so crazy because if I were to like eat that way now, I'm like, I would not feel good. There's no way because like that's not it. But yeah, no, I feel like just really being able to like move through that and like come to a point where I had to take my health into my own hands. And I was like, hey, if I want to get better, like these people aren't helping me and I need to figure out why. And like most of my symptoms were gut based issues. So that's why it kind of led me into like, the gut realm and really like understanding what was happening at a deeper level with my gut. But that took a long time to do because I was taking like all these different puzzle pieces from all these people that I was working with. Because I worked with doctors, I worked with naturopaths, I worked with specialists and like did programs, cleanses. And it's like everybody did teach me something. Like everybody taught me their own like thing. And I was able to take all of that. And like when I finally kind of pieced it all together, I was like, oh, I was like, this all makes sense now when I really understood on a deeper level when I talk about cells, what was happening on a cellular level in my body and why it was feeling the way it was. Because it was just really overwhelmed. And when we look at like everybody today, it's like in the world we live in, that's what's happening. Like we're just at a high toxic load in everybody's bodies. People are walking around and they're overwhelmed, they're overloaded, and then their body just it kind of starts to shut down, and that's where it comes from. So from there it's like that's really when I started to understand like what detox went, like the systems of the body. I think people tend to chase like symptoms and they just look at symptoms and try to change things from there, but it's like no, you need to look at the body as different systems that make up like you as a big system. And when you can really understand that, you understand that well, when you work on one, you're going to start improving the others, and it's a domino effect from there. So that's a little bit of backstory.
I'm curious, aside from peeing out of your butt, what were some of the other symptoms that you experienced, and how did you get to the point where you were able to fix them?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm like, how much time do we got, girlfriend? Because it's like the unexplained symptoms that, they just kept popping up. Like the biggest one for me was like, I didn't have a solid bowel movement for 2 years. That was not fun. Anytime I ate anything besides chicken and cucumbers, it felt like it would like boil and disintegrate in my gut. Like it would make like my stomach and gut would screech all day, like every day. Like at the time I was a full-time hairstylist, and I remember one of my clients was like, was that I was blow drying hair and this is how loud it was. Like, was that your stomach? And I was like, yeah. And I just couldn't control my bowel movements like at all. So it's like, can you imagine like foiling hair, doing hair, and you're like, oh, like this is not okay. I had no energy, like absolutely no energy. I couldn't get through the day without a nap. I also like just had to rely on caffeine. Otherwise, I couldn't go to work. I couldn't have a conversation. And it was just horrible brain fog. Like I remember waking up after 8 hours of sleep and feeling like I didn't even sleep and then having to take a nap. I think I would like at the time, yeah, so overloaded on caffeine. Like I would drink like 4 coffees a day. I would have energy drinks because I just like couldn't function. And my no sex drive, like my relationship at the time was hanging on by a thread. And like I know a lot of women will resonate with this one, and we work with a lot of women for this because it's like you feel so guilty because you feel like you can't show up for your partner, and you almost like put out because you're like, well, I want to show up for them, and like if I don't show up for them, they're gonna leave me, kind of situation. And yeah, like that. I had like yeast infections, athlete's foot. I was also on birth control for some of it. On birth control, I was having missing periods, and then coming off of birth control, I was also having missing periods. I had a lot of weight gain when I came off of birth control, that I was trying to do absolutely everything under the like sun, like going from like six pack of abs to like, gaining a bunch of weight. I was like, what is going on here? And nothing would work for me to lose it. Anxiety, depression, like my hair started like falling out, thinning, and honestly, so much more. I think the list can kind of just go on, but they were also unexplained. I remember being in like the doctor's office, and I was like, do you think like my birth control could be causing this? And he's like, no, birth control doesn't do anything to your stomach. And I was like, okay. And it's funny because at the time, one of my coaches, because I was like still bodybuilding at the time, he was really against birth control, and he was like, "It's so bad for your body, and you should consider coming off of it." And at this point, I was just like so desperate to like feel better because I was trying all these different things, and I was like, I feel like I'm getting worse every single day, and it's like really affecting my life. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try to come off of it. I can go back on it, right? Like realistically, if I need to. So I ended up coming off of it because I was like, at this point, I just need anything if this is causing any damage in my body. And symptoms I dealt with for 2 years started improving in 2 weeks. And from there, that's when I like really started, yeah, diving more into like the holistic realm and like how to actually heal my body. And it was just so crazy because I was like, this little pill, like I'm not blaming it all on birth control. I now understand that that was a catalyst, and like that was just like overfilling my bucket. But I was taking this pill every single day, and I was just like making myself worse. And it's crazy because like the women that we work with, we have so many women coming off birth control right now. And it's crazy how fast they start to feel like themselves again because they're not putting these like synthetic hormones into their bodies. They are able to like actually get a regular cycle again, and women don't understand like how much that's actually needed for us.
Hmm. Okay, thank you for sharing that because I was like, all right, I get one symptom, but that was a whole array of symptoms. I'm surprised that you yourself were hanging by your thread, just one thread, not even just your relationship, but you as a whole.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
curious what detox really means to you, especially in a world where the term is often used as like fad diets and quick fixes.
Yeah, that's so good. I kind of mentioned a little bit like detox to me is like it is physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and spiritual. And the way I think of detox, and I kind of want to explain this, is this goes a little bit more into like our methodology as well, and like what we do with our clients. And this is my like firm, I stand on business with this one, okay? Is that all of us are unique, and all of us have our own, like we're all our own body, we have all our own cells, but you as like a whole well-being, so like say this is my body, we are all have a toxic load. Like the doctor I'm learning from right now, he has trademarked it and called it the rain barrel. My one of my practitioner calls it your bathtub. I just like to call it a toxic load. And like, if this was your body, everything we do is going to either fill this toxic load or it's going to drain it. And it's from absolutely everything. And if we think about our world today, going like might sound a little tinfoil hat, but like you got like I'm a queen of detox, so this is the realm that we go into, is that you walk outside and you are breathing in chemicals, toxins. Our food is sprayed with millions and trillions of toxins. I don't know about you, but I started putting makeup on my face when I was like 3 years old. And think about that, like in the little plastic dishes that makeup used to come in. Like I think about how many of that the chemicals we're putting on our bodies and our faces. It's just absolutely everywhere, from water, breathing outside, our clothes. I don't know about you guys, but I fucking love me some spandex. Like I know what it's doing when I'm wearing it. It's just everywhere. And then you put even more stressors on there. So then, if for me, I was so sick as a kid, like I was on antibiotics all the time. So put antibiotics, put medications, put anxiety meds, put the stressors of the world, financial stressors, kid stress, relationship stress, work stress. And you just keep, and if there's viruses, there's infections, and then there comes, parasites, mold, like you think it's just about our world, the food we eat, a lot of sugar, high processed food diet. You are just filling, 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 and filling this toxic load. And then at one point, you're overfilling. Like like as Dr. Cabral would say, like your rain barrel is overfilling, and like that's where we start to see chronic symptoms really show up. And it's like you can have things in your body, like you can have say like dormant viruses that's like are in your body, and like the littlest thing will trigger them, like stress will trigger them, but everything is going to be a stress in your body, whether it's a good stressor or a bad stressor, and it's going to fill this bucket. And what happens is, yeah, it's going to overfill, and that's when you start to feel really shitty. And it's like, okay, now we need to come in and drain that. And actually, once we start to do that, the body does a big sigh of relief. So when I talk about detox, I'm talking about we're getting the shit out of your body that shouldn't be there. It is, this might be more now because I made this post quite a while ago, but there's a study that says that there, like on an average day, like a woman is exposed to 700,000 different chemicals.
Oh,
And
wow.
700,000. We were never meant to like process that in our bodies, and like the demands and the stress of the world today, like we were never meant to take on that much stress. And especially as women, just because we are more susceptible to stress and like emotions and all of those things, that's what I just see in so many women. So like when we're detoxing and we're coming from a physical aspect, it's like, okay, let's start getting the toxins and like, the chemicals out of the body, because they're everywhere. Like they're just in absolutely everything, and that is disrupting your hormones. That's disrupting your gut lining. That's disrupting just your entire health. And then we look even deeper, there comes parasites, mold, and it's like, okay, that's causing even more distress on the body. That is causing internal stress, that's digestive stress. If there's viruses, infections, like that alone is just a whole nother thing. And then nervous system, that's more the emotional, mental side. It's like you'll never heal or be in that state of healing if your body's constantly under stress and if like you haven't processed things. So there again, like that's where we want to go in and start to like actually like trauma and emotions get stored inside of your cells. Like your body is like this big memory drive, and it stores everything, and it knows, it has its own memory. So it's like it will store that until we actually choose to delete it, let it go. And your body has the ability to do that. So that again, that's like the mental, emotional side of detox. And then we go on spiritual, and everybody's on a different spiritual journey. And it's like really about finding like what are the things that truthfully make you feel good and like light you up and make you have a purpose. And it's like, how can we really like, hound into that and like let go of what's not serving you in that realm. And when we come from all those different aspects and we learn to like actually we give the body the space to detox, because when we think of detox, it's letting go, right? It's letting go. It's like getting it rid of. It's purging, right? It's like cleansing. That's what people think of. And I just hounded in the word detox because I'm like, yeah, we're letting go of the shit that shouldn't be stored in the body, that shouldn't be there. And that's causing your chronic symptoms and causing your body to feel in distress. So when I talk about detox, we're talking about letting go of all the shit that shouldn't be inside of your body.
I feel like you're speaking to me because I stopped putting foundation on a few months ago, and finally like my skin's cleared up. Everything just reacted a lot better. You talk about spandex. I use it when I'm only coaching. Sometimes I don't even coach in spandex anymore, or like in like training when I'm training myself, and try my best to get rid of those, take a shower, clean myself off as soon as I'm done, and like put on some baggy sweatpants or something, or shorts. And then the last thing that you had mentioned, just for anyone who didn't see this on YouTube or like is listening to this, Courtney was holding up a glass of water and talking about toxic load there. And so to me, it's like you can either fill the cup or you can drain the cup, but you want, in my opinion, you want the cup to be empty because you want to let go of all the shit, like you just said, that's inside of your body. And so I think of this as like people talk about detox is elimination, but like you also emphasize alignment and vitality. And I want to know if you can walk us through what that shift means and why it's so important.
Yeah. So I actually posted about this morning. I was talking about one of my clients. She has lupus. And I think when we talk about alignment and like shaping that for ourselves and, letting go, it's like I used to live in the identity that I would never be healthy. Like, I'm like, I'm okay, this is my life now. Like, I'm living, like, I'm always bloated. Like, how many times have one of us just been like, oh my God, I'm so bloated? Like, all the time.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, I feel like shit. Oh my God, I have no energy. And you almost label yourself and you hold this identity label on yourself as like, I'm the bloated girl or like I'm the sick girl. And so many people do. And like, I see a lot of women do it in the health space of like, oh, I'm the big boned girl, or like, we label ourselves with these identities. And with my specific client who has lupus, we've done a lot of nervous system reprogramming work with her because she's been sick for the past 7 years and every day battling like just get out of bed. And it's like, of course, it's really hard for you to envision yourself being healthy and to like
Mhm.
actually fully believe that. So when I talk about like, really shifting through the alignment of there, I would say probably like most of the work that we do with our clients, like anybody can actually go to like a doctor or a naturopath or like a practitioner, and they can do labs for you and they can give you supplements like kill off supplements. But it's like that true healing really does happen in the nervous system, because you need the nervous system for the body even to feel safe enough to do that. And like a big thing that we see with women and that we work on and we've been working on with our client with lupus is like reprogramming and looking at the identity and the labels that you hold for yourself and actually allowing the body to fully believe you can like live in alignment with how you actually want to feel, and fully believe that that's possible for you. Because she just spent the past 7 years feeling sick and not getting ready, like uh feeling like she couldn't even put on makeup, like looked homeless 90% of the time, to now she's been working with us just under 8 months. And the other day she asked me like about my lip plumper. She's like, I finally have 15% of my life like where I'm healthy again, and like it's completely changed everything. Like I actually want to get ready again. I want to go do things, like have the energy to go do things. And like obviously we still have so much work to do, but it's like the work that we've also been doing with her is like she's now at that point because she didn't even believe that like 8 months ago that she would even be where she is right now. And I think so many people hold that label on themselves and they don't believe in their body or their cells, because I've mentioned a couple times that your body holds on to trauma. It holds like onto those emotions, and especially even parasites in our body, like they hold on to emotions and they hold on to trauma. So it's like in order to actually work through that alignment, it goes more than just the work that we do. It goes so much deeper than just supplements, kill off protocols, even just parasite work, or getting the labs, because anybody can fucking do that. But it's like, who's actually going to guide you along through that like spiritual, emotional, and mental journey of the reprogramming of the nervous system?
Okay, so I know that there is a difference between the emotional, mental, and physical detox. You mentioned this earlier already, in that I'm thinking of spiritual too, right? But how do these layers show up in your own life and with your clients?
That's such a good question. I think, for one, I think a lot of this has to do I think a lot of this has to do with boundaries, honestly.
Yes.
It has to do with boundaries and standards. And I also truthfully believe it has to do with support. So, chat daddy is a really big thing right now. Anybody can go chat daddy something, or like Google, or, there's so many like practitioners and doctors and naturopaths like out there now. But it's like, for me personally, it's like, who's willing to sit through the deep shit with you? Who's going to get in the trenches with you? And like, with my one client specifically, like, who's really gonna like work you through that, and like be in that like time with you and be like, hey, like this can fucking suck right now, but it's like, let's look at actually like all the factors that are coming in that is like having you feel the way that you feel. And like something that we really like to do with clients is like, okay, beyond the symptom and how you're feeling right now, what else is happening in your life? Because it's not just about food. And most of the time, it doesn't have a lot to do with food. It has a lot to do with the unresolved and unprocessed. I don't even always like saying trauma, but emotions that have been stored in the body. And it's like how your body actually perceives that. That's really what we want to work through. And it's like we can look at all those different things. But for me personally, I think like so much, and this is something I practice every week, every day, and it's probably the fucking hardest one, is just boundaries and like how that's coming up with your life. And I think when we act in alignment, it's like we act in alignment with the standards and the boundaries that we hold for ourselves. And I also made this other post the other day, and I was like, my program's not for weak ass women. Like my program's really hard. Like it is. Because staying where you are right now, and like everybody wants convenience, right? Like everybody, again, like they want to go do the labs, they want to do the supplements, they want the quick fix of it, or like the juice cleanses. But I'm like, that's fucking not doing anything. Like, it is about reprogramming the body at a cellular level to be healthy. So it's like talking about all those like emotional, mental, and like spiritual detoxes. It's like you have to hold yourself to a higher standard with boundaries, and act in alignment with those boundaries, because it's going to be really hard when we want to cut out gluten. Yes, we want to cut out dairy. Maybe we're cutting out sugar because, if you have deeper shit, like the people that come to us are like the women who are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. They've tried everything else. And, 95% of them have mold. There's autoimmune diseases. There's gut issues. Like they have an overgrowth of bacteria. There's parasites. It's like there's deeper distress going on inside of the body that is also alarming the body that you are not safe because of that. So when we go and do all the work together, but it's like you, for one, have to actually know where you want to go, and you have to be willing to do the hard shit. And that involves boundaries and standards for yourself. Like being like in bodybuilding, you're not going to make it to the stage if as soon as things get hard, you go and eat fast food.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's really about being able for ourselves. It's like, take a look at your life for one. It's like, what is the work that you're actually putting off because the results you're really looking for are usually lying in that. Like they're there. And so many people, I see this is a hill I'll die on, is that people, you can heal your gut without cutting out gluten. I'm like, false. I don't agree. Like I literally don't agree, because gluten is one of the biggest things that causes inflammation and creates inflammation in the body, especially if you live in North America, because look at our gluten, look at the way our food's processed, like all of that. And it's like, why would you keep putting fuel on the fire that's creating inflammation? To heal the gut, you need to bring down the inflammation. And like everything's going to start from there. So if we're constantly feeding these things, like you're not doing yourself any good. And the same goes for dairy. And people hate when I'm like, yeah, we need to cut out dairy. It's temporary. Like, it's temporary, but like, we're just feeding the problem. We need to not do that. We need to starve the problem. So then we can actually go in and get rid of it, and being able to act in alignment with that. So it's like same with like bodybuilding. If like when things go and get hard, that first thing you do is go eat gluten and dairy. It's like, that's where the boundaries and the standards you need to uphold for yourself. And I think when you look on the mental and emotional side, the work that we do is so nervous system based. So it's like, what is that conversation that you're putting off? Who is that like parasite of a man that you're keeping in your life that like, deep down is actually causing your nervous system to stay in fight or flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because if you think of it on a deeper level, for your body to heal, we want to keep you in a parasympathetic rest and digest state. But if you're constantly every day waking up and you're ridden full of anxiety because you have these conversations or standards that like, boundaries that you're not upholding like for your own self. And like, this is something I put myself, we have group calls with our clients bi-weekly, like a group. And I put myself on this chopping block every time, because I'm like, guys, just because I do what I do doesn't mean I'm perfect. Like I practice what I preach, but it's I have to actively practice it. Like, and one of my hardest things, and I'm just so blunt and real about what's going on in my life, is that my boundaries with men kind of fucking suck. Okay. Like, and we're working on it. We're getting better. But it's like for me, that's something I actively have to practice. But I know every time I do, and like I can feel deep in my body when I'm like, okay, like this isn't making me feel good. And that just bleeds into every other thing that we do. Have you ever heard the saying where it's like, how you do one thing is how you do everything?
Yes.
And it's so true. It is so true. And I have to remind myself that every day. I'm just here, guys. Like I'm really trying my best too. Okay. But it is true. And like all of that, because let's face it, like relationships, connection, and love, that's actually what humans need to thrive. So if that's the one thing where you're letting all your boundaries slip, and then you're like, oh, I already feel this way, and like now I just feel anxious all day, and now I'm just gonna go eat whatever. And it's like, okay, no, we want to bring the body back to a state, and we actually want to get to like deep down, like spiritually and like mentally and emotionally. That's a lot of what like is weighing people down, but they want to rely on they want to rely on labs and supplements to fix that problem. And it's like, it goes so much deeper than that. Like, yeah, we want to address why you're like chronically fatigued, like why you're in burnout, and bring your body out of a state of that. And that can go with a lot of different things. Like, yes, we can have the labs to tell you that, but it also involves acting in alignment for like the way you actually want to feel. And as our work that we do is holding up that mirror for a lot of women. and being able to guide them through that and know that our work, it is just so much more than like a protocol, because most of the work that we actually do is like internal.
Mm. Okay, so you just mentioned like people want to get the labs, they want the supplements too, but I'm curious what some of the common mistakes or misconceptions you see people making when they try to cleanse their bodies. What happens and how do you fix that too?
I would say probably the biggest one that we see from anybody is that the body's not prepared to go into like a deeper cleanse or like a deeper protocol. Personally, I call them all detoxes because I'm like, that's technically what we're doing. Like, y'all are trying to like clean shit out. You're trying to detox the garbage out of your body.
Hmm.
But people try to do parasite cleanses for one, right? Or people try to get mold out of their body. I see so many people right now doing a lot of heavy metal work too, and just any like bacterial overgrowth. And the amount of women that work with naturopaths or other practitioners and come to us, and we ask what they've done, and like they don't ever end up feeling better. They go on the symptom roller coasters because they've missed the most crucial piece, and it's the prep work for the body. And in our phase one of our program that we work with women is that we spend minimum like 6 to 8 weeks prepping the body, because you can't just go in and kill off cleansing parasite supplements and expect it to fix all your fucking problems, because you're actually going to
Mm.
worse, and you're going to create more distress on the body. And the nervous system is a really big piece of this as well, because if your nervous system is tweaked out, like your body's not going to handle at that moment the shit that you're trying to get out, because it's going to, if you just go in like and raw dog it and like put in kill off supplements, well, for one, the detox drainage pathways are not opened. Your body is like a huge detoxification machine, so like literally whatever comes in it should be able to either be used or it's put to waste to like efficiently leave your body. And everybody's bodies are so clogged the fuck up because of today's world, like their toxic loads are so high that their lymphatic drainage system is not properly pumping. And like your lymphatic drainage system does it, that's how your body gets rid of waste. It doesn't have a pump, you are the pump. And our livers from all the toxins are clogged. Our most people's blood is just like not clean, so kidneys aren't like usually functioning like as good as they could be to detoxing everything out. Everybody's guts are fucked because our world is whatever it is that we've kind of already went over. And so for this, the biggest thing that I see is like people aren't preparing their body. Like they're not focusing on having daily bowel movements. They just want to go in and put a supplement to kill off the parasites, the mold, or like whatever is there, H. pylori infection, so they can feel better, or go take antibiotics to again chase symptoms, get their acne better. But it's like what you're actually doing is all of these things that are inside of your body, like parasites, mold, fungus, yeast, like for candida, say, bacterial overgrowth, the stuff that's actually like SIBO, like causing a lot of like digestive stress and symptoms, that's coming from all the other things that we've talked about, like all the distress, the toxic load. People want to take that quick fix and just go kill it off, but they don't want to leave your body. They've now hosted in your body. They're like, we're having such a good time in here. We're just going to continue to play in here and feed off of you. And you've become their host, and they don't want to leave. So when you go to try and kill them off, they're going to give off like their die off products, byproducts. And parasites specifically, that's releasing more bacteria, viruses, infections, molds, heavy metals into your body. And if you think how we talked about your body, if like the exits, like the detox pathways are not opened and haven't been efficiently, and your lymphatic drainage system is just needs some love, that all gets reabsorbed back into the body and you feel worse. So like that is probably the biggest mistake that I see anybody doing. And it's so sad because they're just trying to feel better, but they've been misguided. And it's just, that's why it gets me, because I'm like, I also tried to do that. So like, I get it, guys. But like, the proper information's just not there. And I think if you can spend more time focusing on drainage and like nervous system, bringing the body to a state of equilibrium, and like, because your body should be able to detox shit out, that you'll have way better results and you'll feel so much better rather than just going and taking a bunch of supplements.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I'm like, Instagram also makes wellness look like super beautiful and aesthetic too. So
No
I'm
one's
curious.
honestly.
Yeah, yes. It's like everything's trending, everything's viral, it's like going in I'm even stuck on one right now with the lemon juice and olive oil right now too.
That's actually so good for you. So I think that's a good one.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. I'm adding versus eliminating, but it's been helpful at least for my gut. I feel it in my skin. I feel hydrated, So there's some benefits to it too, but I'm curious how you balance sharing real transformation in social media's pressures to post perfection online. Like people are always wanting to follow the trend, but you're probably correcting them and putting them on the right path of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yes, I appreciate that as well. And like you just mentioned, you guys, like pure, like really good olive oil and lemon is actually one of the best things you can do for your liver. So
Oh, good.
it's amazing that anybody that does it, honestly, um, to actually like properly even like cleanse your liver, like you drink like a cup of like olive oil and like, there's like liver cleanses specifically with lemon and olive oil. So, but with that being said, I think I really try to something I used to do actually was I kept myself in this box when I was on social media, like all the other practitioners. I'm like the soft girl aesthetic, like let's make it all look like so like, oh, this is so awesome. Like, like doing all this stuff and like it can feel it's so feminine, like all those things. And I was like, that's not who I am. I was I'm very out there, I'm very forward, and very loud. And like, I love to make things, like, I love to find the humor in things and like, really show that, hey, like, this is like unsexy things that we can also, you get to become sexy from doing the unsexy shit.
Mhm.
And literally, the unsexy shit, like, I just love breaking the norm on my page. And, I just love it when I go and post like poop pictures or like, parasite pictures because people are like, what the fuck? And I'm like, but this is like what's in you and this is like what's feeding on you. And it's like nobody, I think anybody, like I mentioned, people work with me when they're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired and they've tried like everything else, right? So it's like, I'm not here to sugarcoat shit for you because you've just had that for however many decades. You need somebody to sit here and tell you and be like, hey, your lifestyle is actually fucking you up. And hey, there's these like parasites living inside of you. And like, this isn't normal, right? Like, this isn't normal. And we can actually oversimplify this process. And when I started really hounding into that, I was like, most practitioners are actually fucking boring. I'm going to make this fun for you and we can have some humor into it because that's where a lot of my hooks come from because I'm like, it just stops people because they're like, whoa, okay, like that is actually happening, right? And those are real symptoms that I'm just explaining it in a different way. So I really want to come, like I always try to come really real and raw and blunt to people because we've just spent the past however many decades being conditioned to think our symptoms aren't even normal, like are normal. And they're just
Mhm.
not. So for me, like breaking the norm with that, and I just am so straight up with people that like, yeah, like this shit's going on, and like, why are you okay with that?
Your hooks are so good. Like you caught me off guard, but it was one of my favorite first ones that I watched where you were like, if you want a wet ass pussy, like like all of this, I was like, this is what I need is somebody to give it to me straight. And you really do. Thank you for that.
Of course, that is I have to start going a little bit away from that hook. That's attracting a lot of weird men,
Oh
and
goodness.
so it's attracted a lot of like the people that we need to, but I'm like, okay, we love that hook. Like, I just think it's so good. It's so funny that reel, like my creative director and I made that on the fly because it just popped in my head. I was like, we got to make a reel about this right now. But I think it does catch people off hook because like one of my first ones when I started getting into it was like, if your pussy fucking stinks. And that came from the amount of women that we work with that have yeast infections or bees. I
Mm.
don't know why. And so all of my hooks, they're coming from real life problems that I've just said in a really, I don't even want to say obnoxious way, but
Straight up way.
a
Yeah.
straight up way. And because people are like, wow, that is me, right? And it's like, but why? And that's what we want to do is we want to ask a deeper question, like, why is it coming up for you? And it's like a lot of women, wet ass pussy it came from most of the women, I'd probably say 90% of the women that we work with have a hard time getting wet or they don't have sex drive. And that's actually where that hook came from. It just said it. I just wanted to say it in a straight up way because I'm like, that is like what people need. People need practitioners, doctors, and just overall people to stop sugarcoating shit for them.
For real. Okay, so very intentional on your hooks, very intentional on your cleanses. I see that people just want to hop on and they go do a 3-day juice cleanse or something, but I don't see a lot of like spirituality and intentionality behind it. And so I'm curious how those two things play a role in your detox practices. Is there like a specific ritual or habit that anchors you?
Hmm. That anchors me personally or like my clients.
I would say your clients.
Yeah. So with that being said, like again, that's where a lot of like the nervous system work comes in. I'm like a really big person on, I know you do this, is breath work.
Yeah.
That's been really like transformative for myself and my clients. We now bi-monthly bring in my breathwork instructor to do a lot of like breath work with them and like really just like processing that through. But you know what? I think this is so bio individual to each person, and that's where I think having a one-on-one container is so important because, and anybody can go do a 3-day juice cleanse, but it's like, for what? Like, you're not real. 3 days is not enough to do anything. Like, if you have deep rooted gut issues or, like autoimmune, it's like, it took you decades to get where you are today. It's not gonna, like, a 3-day juice cleanse isn't gonna do anything. You're actually just like, if your body's chronically stressed out from digestive stress or autoimmune diseases, that's gonna do you far worse. Like your body does need nutrients. And that goes on to another thing with like fasting. That's a big trend right now. But I do believe in fasting actually. It just depends on who. And I think that's where everybody, it's like, we see all these things online. And like, I even post, like, I'm like, use this food for this. But it's like, I also know that like food has such a power tool, but it's going to be different for everybody. Right. And so I think with spiritual practices and like bringing all of that in, it's like, as an individual, you need to like experiment and find like actually like what is going to make you feel good and what's going to make you feel in the most like, I want to say like fulfilled and like in your purpose within that. Because for some people, spiritual practices could mean anything from like yoga, breath work, like for some it's manifestation work, or it's like, really working deep on their deep rooted traumas or emotional processing. For some, it could literally, right? For some, it just, I think it looks so different for everybody, but a lot of things that we do inside of our practices is, again, we want to look at it all from like a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual side, because when you can hit all of those, you're making up somebody as a well-being, right? So like physical, it's like for nervous system and for body, what can we physically start doing right now for the body? Can we start stimulating your vagus nerve? Can we do breath work to like, start pushing it out? Can we like shake? Can we tap the body? Like actually bring you back into like equilibrium, to like homeostasis. Your body has a baseline and your body always wants to bring you back to homeostasis, but everyone's baseline is at a different. So it's like where your stress resilience actually is, what that's going to look like. And we want to bring it back down to like where you feel fulfilled and you feel, I kind of hate now using the word regulated, but where you feel at peace, right? At
Yeah.
peace. And breath work works very well for me. I have clients where breath work doesn't work that well for them. So it is going to be trying different modalities and finding what works for them, right?
Yeah. And I get that too with the breath work because it does require work. It does require effort. And sometimes there's people who I train in the gym that do not want to go work out. And they're obviously for the accountability so they can work out. But I'm glad that you're somebody who doesn't force it on them and tell them that this has to be the way. It's just what works for you, what brings you peace, and what brings you back to that quote unquote regulated state, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think the big piece is that, like, I just believe everybody's different. Like, and I think like when we can have core non-negotiables in, why does it have to look the same for everybody? There's something when I was a hairdresser, my journeyman told me at the time, there's 100 ways to get one result. But what matters is the way that what matters is that you get the result, right?
Mm.
So it's like there's gonna be 100 different ways to do certain things for people, but it's like finding like what is actually going to work best for them and the state that they're in. And I also do think that as like a practitioner, like, you know, a mentor, you should also be willing to push them to try new modalities and push them out of their comfort zone, because they won't know, because most people will just stay what they're comfortable with, but the true like transformation will always happen when we get like comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's where we can really come in, and it's like, okay, maybe we're going to try this, we're going to give it a shot, but if like it actually like doesn't work for you, like there's 100 other things that we can do, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's about working with each person, and like everybody is different at different points in their spiritual journeys also.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious what advice you would give someone who is interested in detox but feels overwhelmed or skeptical because of maybe there's so much conflicting information online right now. How would you help them out?
I would say, I think one of the things that is the most important, that you have trust in who you're going to get help with. And I think you should really vibe with them, right?
Hmm.
You don't hire somebody where you don't vibe with them, you know?
Yeah.
For me, this isn't where everybody is, but I'm like, if you don't trigger me a little, I probably won't hire you. Like, that's my own. I'm like, you got to trigger me a little bit, because I'm like, you're telling me there's something in here that I like. I don't get triggered by you. I get triggered by me, but there's something you're revealing to me that like, hey, there's something like, there's a reason why I'm being triggered because of this. So for me, that's something that I look for. People are going to look for different things, but I think in the world of detox, I think nowadays you should definitely be looking at like, do you vibe with this person? Do you relate with this person? Do they, how can they produce results? For one, is like, I don't know about you, but I don't get on a call with I only get on a call with somebody when I know I'm going to give them my money.
Hmm.
I've already stalked you for 3 years. Like, we're good here. You've spoken to me. Like, you're joining the conversation in my head of like what's happening. You understand what I am going through. You have clear, proven results, and you have like credentials to back it up. I think a big thing in the health space right now is that like you need people who actually know what they're doing, right? I just think that's huge. And, but like also, I think you just really need to relate to the person, and you have to have that trust, because I think coaching and like knowing where to start is, there's just so much information out there, but like if you don't trust the person and the program and the game plan and the support they're going to bring you, then it's not going to work.
Hmm. Okay, so you have helped how many clients? I'm curious. You have a big array of clients, but how many clients have you helped over the years so far?
Oh, it's so crazy. So I have two practitioners that work under me right now, and just my one practitioner is a little bit newer, but my her name's Kiana. She's my head practitioner. Her and I together have helped like over 900 women get healthy.
Wow.
Uh,
900 women.
but like that's not even counting like there's a goal and a mission for us every single day to help one person, and it's like whether it's giving advice in the DMs, or it's like the amount of people that have bought my master classes, or you know, done like 6-week programs with us, or like those shorter time lengths. Like if I were to like even look at that, I'm like, oh my god, it's so many more. But yeah, it's crazy. It's I never take it for granted, I'll say that.
Yeah, you have a huge platform on social media, so your outreach to the people that you help can be up to hundreds of thousands of people, you know? So
Yeah.
I see that.
Thank you.
I'm like, yes, girl. Yes. Snaps and applauds for you.
Yes. Yeah, I
um,
love Snap
you
now. I'm
love
like,
snaps. Yes.
absolutely everything.
Okay, looking ahead, I'm curious what's the biggest evolution you see personally or in the detox wellness space over the next few years, and what excites you the most?
That's such a good question. Um, I think I'm just trying to think like what the biggest evolution is. I think it's kind of happening right now, like before like our eyes and everything. Um, I've been on many podcasts and I say this every single time, but I truthfully believe people are really waking up like I do. And I think gut health is not just a silly little trend. You know, I you see it it gets so overwhelming because people think it's trending, but I actually think people are waking up and people are realizing that, hey, like this is everything. And I think the biggest evolution that we're really going to start to see is like the amount of people that are just fucking sick of like the food that we have. and like the way of like living and everything, and like the high stress. So I personally think that the biggest evolution is we're going to just, and we're already seeing it happen before our eyes with a lot of like the changes that have been being made, is that a lot of people are going to go back to like farm to table kind of situation.
Mm.
A lot of people are catching on and like realizing how important like your liver and how important like going low tox, having good quality water, and living with minimal stress. You know, I think that is like the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now, is that so many people want to start like really like feeling good and going back to like a lot of the ways that we were living a long time ago.
Yeah.
And if that ties into like what I'm the most excited about too with that, because I just like, even when I see restaurants now, like so many, there's zero like alcohol mocktail things everywhere, because people are waking up and realizing like, whoa, alcohol's not doesn't make me feel good, right? And it's like you're looking at so many restaurants grass fed, right? People are like, like the lower amount of ingredients is the better. People are starting to make those swaps. People are building bigger gardens. Like people are going to farmers markets more. People are paying the butcher. People are trying to shut down, like, go away from like big food. And I think, yeah, that's what excites me, because I'm like, yeah, like I think it's so awesome that people want to get healthy and they really want to feel their best, and they're waking up to the world that like we're actually living in, and say, hey, like I don't want this. And I think that together as like a society and as a world, that is what's going to like make the bigger changes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the last question that I love asking is for everyone on this show that comes on. I get to interview you. I used to have a sign on the back of my old place that said, "You can't always stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." And that to me talks about the controllables in life, the things that you can control and the things that you can't not control. And I'm curious how you handle both aspects of the things that you can control and the things you cannot control.
Wow, that's so good. Wow, your questions are so good. I love it. Um, Actually, it's crazy that you're saying that. I was like, we're so aligned. But one of the things, so when I first started my coaching company, you guys, I was a fitness coach, like just a weight loss coach. She came straight out of the bodybuilding world. Like I was telling you, I was giving people like a cup of egg whites, meal plan situation. Like I don't know who she was, but I've always said this since I started coaching, and I still say it, is control what you can control, because there's so many things in life that we don't have control over. But we have control over the things that we put in and on our bodies. We have the control of our nervous systems. Like we actually have the control of how we want to feel, and like, what we want our health to look like. Can we control that they spray our earth? Like, can we control all the nasty things that are like happening out in the world today? Can we control sorry, what's on the news? Can we control those things? No, but we can control what we do for our own body and the way that we take care of ourselves. And oh my god, I don't know why my throat's so itchy, but
It's because we talk a lot. It happens often.
yeah, I yap all day every day, so here we are. And I like to tell my clients this too, is all you have to do is control today.
Hmm.
Realistically, it's like we don't need to worry about tomorrow. We don't need to worry about, next week. We don't need to sit in the past. We just need to focus on today and what you can have control over today. And like, you can control the food that goes into your mouth. You can control the water that you drink. And yes, there's going to be things that like, travel comes up, this comes up, but I'm just like such a firm believer, when this goes back to the alignment piece, when you have like high standards for yourself and you really want to embody, and you want to like, if you really want to feel the way that you feel, you will control what you can control.
Hmm.
I think like when you're talking about like learning to like, what was it, ride the wave?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And it's like there's different seasons for different reasons in life. And when you can learn like, hey, I just have to control what I do today, and you get to choose how you respond versus react, you didn't diminish like power from everything else, and you reclaim your power back. And I think for like any woman or anybody, I think that's actually what the most powerful thing you can do.
100. Thank you for this answer, for your time, your energy. all the knowledge that you just dropped, Mike, everything on there. I'm like, yes, girl, I'm so grateful for you. I am going to put everything in the show notes for everyone, how to contact you, connect with you, but let us know what is the best platform to reach you on and how we can connect.
Yeah, so the best platform to reach me on is Instagram at the Queen of Detox. On TikTok, my account name is also that. And yeah, that right now, that is the best place to find me.
Beautiful. I'm so thankful again, and I love you so much. And I can't wait to put this episode out, have people hear it, and drop some knowledge with them. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I love you so much for having me, and I hope people get a lot of value.
You.
Woo!